Season is quite uncertain for the entire league, but this is your first time as a free agent. Have you thought about what free agency...
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit, but I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people, I love the fans, so we'll see what comes.
Elliot, Lexie Hull just dropped some huge news that has Fever fans in shock. She's officially leaving Indiana. Can you believe it? This is the same Lexie who's been right alongside Caitlin Clark, navigating all the chaos. Now she's gone, and fans are absolutely losing it. What exactly went wrong here? And what does this mean for Caitlin and the entire Fever squad? Before we dive into the details, do you think she made the right call? Honestly, this feels like a punch to the gut for everyone.
Tasha tweeted and was just saying a bunch about pride and how proud she was of this team. Have you kind of had similar emotions the last couple days, and how do you balance that with a very painful ending to the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think like following the game, it's so disappointing to lose, and most seasons end on a loss, so it's really hard and challenging. But I think when you sit back and think about our year and everything that we were able to accomplish with the circumstances that we were faced with.
Listen, Lexie Hull wasn't just another player on the team. She was one of the few who consistently played with heart and grit. Even when the season seemed to be falling apart, she was diving for loose balls, chasing down plays, and handling all those crucial little things you never see in highlight reels. And now she's gone. Her contract situation was already a bit uncertain. She was a restricted free agent, meaning Indiana could have matched any other team's offer to keep her. But here's the thing. The way Lexie talks, it sounds like she already has one foot out the door. When a player keeps using words like uncertainty, and we'll see what comes next, you don't need to
uncertain for the entire league in general, but you're a free agent for the first time. Have you thought about what free agency might look like for you if you'd like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a restricted free agent, so I think that changes things a little bit, but I've loved my years here in Indiana. So obviously with a lot of uncertainty, you don't know what's to come, but I've built a life here, and I love this franchise. I love the people, I love the fans, so we'll see what comes. Elliot?
Now let's zoom out a bit, because her departure didn't just come out of nowhere. Honestly, the Fever season was a complete mess. Injuries, rotations that made no sense, and all the non-stop drama surrounding Caitlin Clark. It's honestly a miracle they didn't totally collapse back in June. Lexie, though, was one of the rare players who kept things stable. She always showed up, whether starting, coming off the bench, or even playing out of position. And if you listen to her interview, you can hear in her voice a mix of deep exhaustion, disappointment, and honestly, a bit of I'm completely over this. She mentioned loving Indiana, the fans, and the people, but here's the kicker. She never said she loved what was happening with the franchise. That silence spoke volumes, more than any quote ever could. When she said, "I built a life here," that wasn't a promise to stay. It was a polite goodbye wrapped up as an answer. She's smart. She knows how to leave without burning bridges. And the timing? The Fever are heading into one of the most uncertain off-seasons we've ever seen. Caitlin Clark is recovering from an injury. CBA negotiations are faltering. There are whispers of potential 2026 lockout. And now Lexie, one of Caitlin's closest teammates, is walking away. If that's not a huge warning sign, I don't know what is.
It's better. I'm excited to sit down and not do anything for a little bit. Yeah.
For you, what was this season like in terms of the different iterations and the different versions of yourself that you had to play, different roles, shooting, defense, diving, all those different things?
Yeah, I mean, the year, I feel like my role changed throughout the course of the year. I think continuing to just show up as my best self, regardless of starting or not, or playing more on the ball defensively or off, whatever the night looked like, I feel like my ability to adapt grew throughout the year, and that's something that I think I can continue to work on my game, is being flexible and being able to really just do whatever the team needs. And this year, I think everyone on our team was challenged in a way.
Plus, Lexie's interview also gave us a glimpse into something much deeper. She's clearly fed up with how chaotic everything has become. She talked a lot about constantly adapting to different roles, how the lineup kept changing, and how players had to perform no matter what kind of night it was. What stands out is that it screams no consistency. She never knew which version of the Fever she'd be playing with each game. And it's true. Coach Stephanie White was basically juggling lineups constantly, almost like she was throwing out random combinations to see what stuck. One night, Lexie was guarding wings. The next, she was a catch-and-shoot specialist. And other times, she was the key defensive anchor on switches. That's an incredible amount of pressure put on any player, especially without any real rhythm or stability.
Or just every single thing we faced, I think, is something that we won't forget. Like the injuries, the playing through people that playing with groups that we are just haven't even practiced with for the first time in games. Like we were faced with so much uncertainty. So I think there isn't like one pinpoint game where I'm like, I'll remember that game. It's almost.
Still, you have to admit, Lexie handled it all better than most players would have. Even when she talked about adapting and being flexible, those weren't just generic answers. That was her way of politely saying, I just kept my mouth shut and did exactly what I was told. She also mentioned being excited about Unrivaled. So yeah, she's not heading home to just relax. She's joined the Unrivaled League, the new off-season project started by Nafi Sakir and Brianna Stewart. That move says a lot about where players' heads are right now. They don't trust the WNBA system like they used to. They want more control, better visibility, and more money. Lexie's move isn't just about basketball. It's about finding real security. She knows the WNBA could face lockout chaos next season, so why wouldn't she put her energy into something that actually feels stable? It also tells you where her loyalties lie. She didn't say one bad word about Caitlin. In fact, when asked about her, Lexie sounded genuinely emotional. She spoke about how tough it was seeing Caitlin struggle with injuries, but she didn't say, I'm staying to help her bounce back. She just said she was proud of Caitlin's ability to show up, a classy way to say goodbye without causing drama. Here's where it gets interesting. If Lexie Hull, one of the most team-oriented and positive players, is leaving, morale must be really low. Lexie isn't the type to run from challenges. She said in that same interview that her biggest strengths were her competitiveness and will to win. So if she's leaving, it's not fear, it's exhaustion. Exhaustion from uncertainty, instability, and playing on a team where one player gets all the headlines while the rest go unnoticed. It's not Caitlin's fault. The reality is the media barely acknowledges anyone else on the Fever. When Caitlin sneezes, it's a headline. When Lexie dives for a loose ball, no one notices. You can only take that so long before thinking, maybe I should go somewhere I'm actually appreciated. Then there's the fan reaction. Social media blew up the second the news broke. Some fans are devastated, while others say, it's just business. She'll be fine. One thing is clear, this hurts Caitlin Clark more than anyone. Lexie wasn't just a teammate. She was one of Caitlin's closest friends. They did interviews together, practiced together, and were often the only two smiling during tough losses. Now Caitlin heads into next season with even fewer people she genuinely trusts in that locker room. Timing matters too. The CBA talks are shaky and Lexie acknowledged that this offseason is uncertain for the entire league. That wasn't a throwaway comment. It was her acknowledging that every player is waiting on pay, conditions, and leadership decisions. While some fans might be surprised, Lexie probably saw this coming months ago and decided early that if things didn't improve, she was out. She also mentioned wanting to improve offensively, which makes sense. One of the biggest criticisms she faced in Indiana was offensive inconsistency. She was excellent defensively, but her shot selection and rhythm were off, likely because her role kept changing every other week. In Unrivaled, she'll get more touches, more freedom, and a faster-paced game that suits her style. Good for her. It's empowering to see a player take control rather than wait on a front office that's struggling. What does this mean for the Fever? They just lost one of their glue players. You can replace scorers, but replacing someone who hustles, defends, brings energy, and never complains is much harder. Caitlin Clark remains a franchise centerpiece, but now she's surrounded by even more question marks. Who will step up next season? Who will defend perimeter like Lexie did? Who will keep energy high when the team inevitably hits rough patches? Chemistry and trust aren't drafted. They take time to build. And Indiana feels more like a revolving door than a stable team right now. The irony is Lexie said she was proud of how the team fought for those who couldn't play. That line hits hard because Caitlin missed part of the season. And now, one of the players who fought for her won't be there next year either. Fever fans once had a core to root for: Caitlin, Lexie, Boston, and a few others. That core is starting to crumble before reaching its full potential. If management doesn't act fast, this team risks becoming a one-player show, which is never good for a franchise trying to rebuild credibility. Lexie Hull leaving isn't just a roster change. It's a massive red flag for the Fever's future. The big question now: what happens to Caitlin Clark? Losing Lexie is a huge blow. She was one of the few teammates who truly understood Caitlin, who didn't make everything about ego or the spotlight. Losing her means losing someone who balanced the locker room energy. Lexie and Caitlin had quiet chemistry, the kind that keeps a team calm when chaos erupts. Without Lexie, Caitlin faces her second pro year under immense pressure. Leading, scoring, defending, handling media, and staying composed while the world watches every move. That's a lot for a 20-year-old. But this could also be the moment Caitlin becomes the leader everyone expects. Last year, she was a spark plug. This year, she must be the adult in the room. No veterans to lean on, no sidekick smoothing things over. It's all on her. Lexie's exit also sends a message to the rest of the roster. If Lexie Hull can leave, anyone can. That could light a fire under the team or deepen divides. Caitlin will need more communication, accountability, and leadership. She can't carry this franchise alone. Management is shaky, and if they don't provide help, shooters, defenders, anyone to relieve pressure, the season could turn ugly. You can't build a franchise around one star while letting the quiet players walk away. Lexie Hull leaving stings for Caitlin, the fans, and the Fever culture, but it might be the push Caitlin needs to grow into the leader everyone hopes she'll become.